Galileo Chrome just wins a St Leger, and history for Joseph O'Brien. Tom Marquand.
Desert Hero for the King!
Well, it's the Betfred St Leger on September the 16th at Doncaster, the final British Classic of the season. And we can speak to a man who knows exactly what it takes to win that final British Classic. Because Tom Marquand has done it before, but the task ahead of you this time around holds so much more importance. You are going to ride a horse called Desert Hero, who's owned by the King and Queen. So it's a big deal, Tom. First of all, just looking at Desert Hero, has his progression been a surprise, or was he always a horse you quite liked?
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely a hype horse when he first won up at Haydock. A small part of me just feared that day that everything went so beautifully well that it left a little bit of doubt whether he would live up to that. But look, like, he's been remarkable this season. You know, the team have done a great job getting him relaxed, and Luke rides him out every day and has just got him doing it all properly. And from that, you have a strong base to go and let a horse fulfil their own potential. And look, it doesn't look like he's hit his ceiling yet. So it does beg the question of what might be left in the tank for the big day.
I guess when you've got a horse by See the Stars out of a Dubawi mare, you're always thinking, well, at least the pedigree is there to be good. Funnily enough, that Haydock race, I had a look back at the other day, and it did go smoothly because he won, but in many ways it slightly mirrored your Royal Ascot victory in the King George V, because at Haydock he got bumped at the start, was out the back and then came through. And actually, when you look back at Royal Ascot, what happened that day, slowly away, coming through the field, it slightly set a theme his first run for the rest of his career.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, it's wonderful, riding for William and Somerville Lodge, in that everybody's in the same camp of, like, the progression of the horse is the most important thing, and that's why, like, say, first time out, I rode him like that. You just let things unfold, and education is sort of the primary concern, and then winning happens if they get it all right, and if not, they've had a nice day at the races, they've learned plenty, and then they go on to try and win their races. And look, I think it's why horses like this show that such steep upward curve once they start really getting the hang of it, and it's because they've been given the chance to. And that's something that I've really enjoyed being part of with Somerville Lodge, because it doesn't matter where the horse is going to end up in the grades. It's the same for every horse. Every horse has their opportunity to fulfil that potential, and it's it pays dividends with horses like this. And as I say, that progressive line, then you don't quite know where it's going to stop.
So the Royal Ascot success was extraordinary in many ways, but perhaps with the benefit of hindsight, not so extraordinary, because he goes from handicap company to group level at Goodwood for the Gordon Stakes. Is it fair to say that you rode him more like a sort of normal horse in the Gordon?
Yeah, definitely. And like, I know the winning distance wasn't that far, but I was really impressed with what he did that day, because I went for the slightly braver Goodwood route, and just waited for things to open up. And look, he's shown it a couple of times now. He's a tough horse, but I thought to go and run down a horse that stayed strongly and wasn't slowing down, unlike Ascot, where a lot of the horses were coming back towards him, and he did have to pick his path that day. But at Goodwood, he really had to go and run one down, and he did it, and did it well. So look, I think it showed how far he's come, and his maturity that's now really starting to unfold, and obviously that really proved his stamina as well, I thought, that day.
Well, I mean, it proved his stamina, I guess, over a mile and a half, but not all horses who finish off strongly over a mile and a half definitely stay further. Having said that, with this boy, would you say that you'd be relatively surprised if the trick was the thing that beat him?
Yeah, and I think because the way we ride him as well, it allows a horse, like, going from a mile and a half dropped in up to the mile 6 dropped in, if you ride them in a similar manner and give them a real chance to get the trip, I think once you're up to those staying distances, to me, there's not that much in it in a horse that gets a 1.5 to 1.6 miles. Like, I know you get the odd one that they just can't quite get it, but I think ridden right and with the right trip round, most that can get the 1.5 should just be able to get home over a 1.6 if they get the right trip. So, look, he's shown every sign that he'll stay, and as I say, he's racing right and relaxing well, so he's going to give himself every opportunity.
All the classics have something really special about them. The Guineas, of course, that speed for the mile. The Derby is the race everyone wants to win. And then you get the Leger with that extended trip. You hopefully might have a Triple Crown Hope or something like that. But it's really built as the sort of Britain's oldest classic, the final one, and there's some hype about it because of that. Your early memories of, I mean, I remember Oh So Sharp because she won the Fillies Triple Crown, and I loved her, and I just remember the big cap that a jockey used to get when they win the Leger. I mean, we're similar of age. Oh So Sharp, special for you as well. Do you remember her?
I know the name, but I wouldn't remember it. But
what's your first memory of the Leger?
No, genuinely, actually, it took me a few minutes to really sort of get what my first memory was of it, and I think it was actually Joseph O'Brien getting beat on Camelot when he was going for the third leg of the Triple Crown, and
so another jockey having a nightmare was your best memory of the Leger.
It was my first memory of it, certainly, and it was actually something that tied in so strongly with winning my first Leger. Was that I think I was probably only 13 or 14, and for whatever reason, I sent Joseph O'Brien a message on Facebook, just saying, "Oh, like, you
hope
know,
I don't have a Camelot moment."
Well, everybody was giving it to him, and you know, this is before the days of when I understood what was going on. You know, I was pony racing, and I sent him a message saying, "Oh, like, gutted for you, but you know, it just looked like one of those things, and nothing can be done." And sorry, like, complete naivety. But when I won the Leger, Joseph actually sent me a screenshot of that message that night after I'd won the Leger for him. He sent me a screenshot of it, and he remembered it, and I thought that was the most mind-blowing moment I've ever had, because, as I say, I sent it in complete sort of naivety. Age 13, before I'd even, like, I was probably riding out for Tony Carroll once every couple of weeks at the weekends and stuff like that. But I wasn't involved in racing. My parents knew nothing about racing. You know, I was not in the circle yet, and so that was it. Yeah, it was weird that my first St Leger memory was one that tied in so tightly with my own.
And that was Galileo Chrome in 2020, and that was a hell of a year for you in many ways, as far as the classics were concerned, because of course you'd brilliantly won the Lingfield Derby trial on English King. You were then jocked off in the Derby. You then got placed in the Derby on another horse for Ahmed Al Sheikh, and English King ran a shocker. You were then back on English King. Then he didn't end up doing much at all, and you ended up winning the St Leger. I mean, the life and ups and downs of a jockey. I mean, it's going to be a good chapter in your book, 2020, isn't it, one day?
Yeah, I think I struggled to remember all that went on, to be honest. It was one of them. Everything just came together, luckily for me. And yeah, look, I got fortunate that, say, English King won so impressively in the Derby trial, and
he was really good that day.
He was, and he looked very good, and he felt very good. But and obviously Frankie, rightly so, dropped me off. Like I think I had a ride in the Derby. I think I'd had a ride in the Derby the year before. Like, you got one,
ultimately.
yeah, but you got one Derby, and you know, it's something that I said at the time and thoroughly believed in, that anyone you would jock a me off then for a Frankie Dettori, then, like, it was a no-brainer. So, and it just so happened that it worked out beautifully. And yeah, like you say, English King was going for the Leger, and then obviously rerouted to France the day after. So I'd actually been declared on him, then a non-runner, and then obviously Shane Cross was unfortunate enough to get COVID before he came over, and because ever in horse racing, when one person loses out, another fills the boots, and I was fortunate enough to be on the receiving end of a bit of luck that weekend, and then Shane went and won his first Group 1 the weekend after, which was good to see that he got his redemption pretty quick. So yeah, look, it worked out all right.
Berkshire Rocco, Galileo Chrome are going to battle it out. Galileo Chrome just wins a St Leger, and history for Joseph O'Brien, Tom Marquand.
You've won a Leger under COVID restrictions, and I think I did the winning interview with you after the race. It was a very eerie. I mean, I was about the only one there. You want something a bit more when you win the Leger, don't you? But to win it in front of a crowd would presumably just be an icing on the cake, even though it's you're winning a Leger behind closed doors sort of thing. To win a second St Leger with a crowd there and the cheering, the final British Classic, that would be nice though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. It would be amazing. And I think as well the magnitude of it being a possibility that it could be Desert Hero for the King and Queen is definitely not lost on me now that I've had that experience at Ascot. You know, probably I didn't quite realise this, or no, I didn't acknowledge the significance of it beforehand at Ascot, because to us, you know, as a jockey, you just go out and try and win. Like, you don't think past what happens getting over the winning line. Like that's just what happens. But I think this time it's a little bit different, having had that experience at Ascot, like I say, and seeing the way the sort of crowd reacted and things like that, and you know, the Doncaster crowd are notoriously fun and passionate about their racing and a big day out. So I think, yeah, I mean, look, if it was to come off, it'd be pretty magical.
Yeah, when you walk out the weighing room on Leger Day, fingers crossed, everything goes smoothly, in those colours, and I'm sure you'll have been told 100 times about Dunfermline in 1977, the Royal Leger winner, etc. Would that almost bring a tear to your eye? Would it be just slightly emotional? Or are you too hard for that? Are you just too
hard to be the wrong
rock
word.
hard?
Too hard's definitely wrong. But no, look, it as I say, it's not lost on me, the significance of it. I'm fully appreciative of the magnitude of what will be going on that day. But being perfectly honest, it all bears into insignificance unless he wins. So look, I'll be solely focused on getting his head in front in the right place, and look, hopefully that happens, and then I can worry about it after.
And just finally on his chance, do you really feel this is a real opportunity to do something historic?
I think so. Look, he ticks all the boxes of what you want from a Leger horse, and look, it's a mile 6, but he's got speed. He stays. He's racing right. He's relaxed, and he's with the right team. So fingers crossed we get a good draw and get the right trip round. Now it's in the lap of the gods, I suppose, with that lot.
Well, we wish you all the best, and certainly shows how far Tom has gone. Just 3 years ago, taken off the English King by Frankie Dettori. One thing's for certain: there's no way anyone is taking Marquand off Desert Hero.